Hello Magic Makers, welcome to Storytime with Mombierella. This is a young adult fiction and may be inappropriate for some younger viewers. Evil Thing. A Tale of That DeVille Woman by Serena Valentino. Copyright Disney Enterprises Incorporated, 2020. Chapter 3. Part 1. Dearly departed. Mama was off traveling for that entire summer before I went off to finishing school. She wrote only to make arrangements for the start of the school term, for me and Anita. Looking back now, I think she was angry with me because I was with Papa right before he died, and she wasn't. I think that was the real reason behind her rage, not those lies that idiot nurse told her. I think she was hurt and disappointed she didn't have the opportunity to say goodbye. And I think she was hurt Papa had left me everything. I honestly didn't blame her. I would have done anything I could to mend our relationship again, but it was impossible to do so when she was away. Thank goodness for Anita. Thank goodness she was going away with me to school, so I didn't have to go alone. I'd never been to a real school before, only lessons with Miss Prickett, in the schoolroom. Not that finishing school was real school. Not really. It was just to teach me how to be a lady, and I knew that already, thanks to Mama's fastidious training. Of course, there would be a series of subjects at our disposal, like literature, French, art, and so forth. But the main focus would be how to conduct ourselves properly at various social functions. At least that was my general understanding of things, as far as I gathered from the daughters of the women in my mother's social circle. They were sent there for a year or longer, depending on how long their mothers wanted them out of their hair before they were brought back home to be entered into society. Thank goodness Miss Prickett was on her way back home again. She would make everything clear and handle all the details. Honestly, the idea of school and everything it was to prepare me for life seemed a ghastly bore to me, so I couldn't have been happier that Anita was going to accompany me. In one of my letters to my mother, I had insisted that she make the suggestion to Anita's guardian. I remember the letter she sent back to me in reply. It was so dry and impersonal, but what bothered me even more was that she had sent no gifts while she was away. Not the entire time she was gone. It was so unlike her. That's how I knew she had stopped loving me. And I had no idea how I could make her happy again. But I was young, and I was distracted by the prospect of going away to school with my best friend. Anita and I had decided we would make the most of it. The summer flew by in a flurry. The school provided us with a list of all the possessions I was expected to bring. School clothes were selected, trunks packed, and Mrs. Bailey was planning to make preserves and other goodies to send along with me. Anita and I felt as if we were preparing for a grand adventure. Anita fit right into life at my home. She was practically living with me at that point. She stayed over almost every night. She actually took an interest in Miss Bailey's stories, and she impressed Miss Prickett with her incessant reading, and how quickly she was picking up French. And as for me, she had become more than just a best friend. She didn't always go on about my mamma, the way Miss Prickett did, always assuring me of her love. But she comforted me in other ways. She calmed my fears about the future, and stayed up to make me a tea when I had a terrible dream about Papa. I wouldn't have survived that summer without her. While we counted down the days of summer and waited for our real adventure to begin, we did all the things we thought we would have to give up once we were transformed into young ladies. Things only little girls were allowed to do. Every day we did something we had loved doing as children. We had tea parties with my dolls, snuck down to the kitchen and stole tarts while Mrs. Bailey wasn't looking, and dressed like characters from our favorite stories, and acted them out for Miss Prickett and the servants. But my favorite times during that summer were staying up late at night and reading from the book of fairy tales my Papa had given me. The night before we left for school, we stayed up well past our bedtime reading together and imagining our own fairy tales. I don't think we have to give up reading our fairy and adventure stories, Cruella. I agree. I don't think I could ever give them up, even before I'm an old lady, I said. My favorites are the Princess Tulip stories. I added dreamily, halfway between our world and the world in which Princess Tulip lived. She's so brave and outspoken. She's not afraid of anything, or anyone, or to say what's on her mind. But she wasn't always that way, Anita pointed out. Remember that story about her and the Beast Prince? She was very different then. Anita was right. She had been very different then. But that wasn't what made Tulip so utterly amazing to me. She had started out a dim-witted princess. She had turned into this magnificently brave and brazen woman. Anita continued, "My favorite stories are after the Great War. When she helped Oberon and the Tree Lords," her eyes widened. "The way she went to the rock giants all by herself and talked them into helping the Tree Lords in their fight with the dark fairies was so awe-inspiring." "I know," I agreed. "That was amazing. But I felt sorry for the dark fairy. I can't believe those witches brought her back to life." "Oh, let me guess. You're talking about Circe and Tulip again." It was Miss Prickett. She was standing in the doorway. "Cruella, I need you to finish picking out the things you want to take to school with you. Anita is already packed and her cases are downstairs. I would like to see yours down there before this night is through." As excited as I was about starting this adventure with Anita, I really was nervous about leaving home. I had just lost my father, and it seemed as though I might have lost my mother as well. I wanted to put off leaving as long as I could. "Yes, Miss Prickett," I said, in a sing-song schoolgirl fashion. "I'm sorry we can't all be as perfect as Anita." Anita laughed. "Oh, Cruella, I'm not perfect. I just can't wait to leave. I'm so excited," said Anita, blushing. "I'm excited too," I said, "but perhaps a little nervous." Anita put her hand on mine. "Of course you're nervous. You're leaving home for the first time." "How I will miss that sweet nature of yours, Anita," Miss Prickett said, smiling at both of us. "Miss Prickett," I said, changing the subject, "do you think the other girls will like us? What do you think they will be like?" "I think they'll be very much like you and Miss Anita, though perhaps not as interested in fairy tales, at least not the sort you two fancy, and not quite as smart or pretty, I would wager." "Then they will be nothing like us," I said, laughing. "Oh, Cruella, stop," Anita chided gently. "I'm sure we will like the girls at school. This is our grand adventure, remember? Miss Prickett, you met the schoolmistress. What is she like?" Leave it to Anita to ask something sensible. "She was a matronly woman, very austere and serious. You'd better watch yourselves around her, the pair of you." Everything Miss Prickett said that evening sent us into peals of laughter. It was infectious, because soon Miss Prickett was laughing too. It was because Anita was there. Anita could soften my sharp tongue, and she could charm Miss Prickett into laughing. "What were the other girls like? Did you see any of them? Were they all terrible snobs?" I asked. Miss Prickett just laughed. "You will have to see for yourself when you get there, Cruella. Now please finish selecting the things you would like me to pack for you, or I'm going to take Anita with me into the other room, so you're not distracted. Don't forget your mother's arriving early tomorrow morning to see you off to school." "Oh yes, Miss Prickett, we promise to devote ourselves entirely to our task," I said as she left the room. When she was gone, I turned to Anita. "I am curious about the other girls, Anita, aren't you? And the teachers." "My goodness, I bet they're all a bunch of upstairs in-betweens." "What's an in-between?" Anita asked. My heart sank. I had been in such a jovial, light-hearted mood, I'd forgotten myself. Anita didn't know about my nicknames. "Well," I said slowly, "Miss Prickett is an in-between. She doesn't quite fit in downstairs with the servants, but she's not exactly accepted into the more elite social circles. She's somewhere in between." I saw the hurt and realization wash over Anita's face. "Like me," she said. "No, Anita, you're different from the other in-betweens. You're better," I said, trying to make her understand. "But you love Miss Prickett, don't you? Even though she's, as you say, an in-between?" I thought about it. "I suppose I do, in my own way. But not the way I love you. You're different, Anita. Miss Prickett is my servant. You're my friend. You are my best friend, and therefore associated with the finest of social circles. No one at school will look down on you. Even the snootiest of girls wouldn't dare." "You know I don't care about such things, Cruella. I don't care what those girls think of me." "Well," I said with a smile, "I will make sure they think nothing but the best of you, Anita. You're much more than an in-between." I got up, remembering something I wanted to bring with me, and went to my jewelry box to fish them out. "What's that?" Anita asked as I took the small box from the jewelry case. "Antique earrings my father gave me." "What do you think of them?" I asked, trying them on. "Do they look too much like an old lady's earrings? Or will I fit right in with all the snots at finishing school?" "Oh, I think they're beautiful. And your father gave them to you. You should wear them, Cruella. "You really should," she said, handing the box back to me and looking sad. Dear Anita. Always so loving, so caring and sentimental. You know, I almost wore them to Papa's funeral. I had honestly almost forgotten about them until that day, but I couldn't bring myself to put them on. Why, Cruella? I don't know. I had the strangest feeling while I was holding them. An odd feeling of foreboding, like I would never be happy again. And then I remembered my papa's stories about the earrings, that they were cursed. A chill ran down my neck, and the fine hair on my arm stood up on end. Anita swallowed nervously. You don't really believe that they're cursed, do you? I'm sure you were just sad about your father's passing away. I think you should bring them with you and wear them at school. It would be a lovely way to remember him. Anita was so sweet that I felt the chill vanish and the room was filled with warmth again. You're right. I'm being silly. I'm going to put them on right now. But when I brought them to my ear, it happened again. That feeling of doom. I couldn't shake it. Cruella, are you okay? Anita asked. I couldn't answer. I didn't know. Perhaps it was nerves. Everything in my life was on the verge of changing. Are you nervous about leaving home? Nervous about seeing your mother tomorrow? Anita asked. I honestly couldn't say, but the strange feeling stayed with me for the rest of the evening. It invaded my sleep, filling my dreams with pirates, otherworldly magical lands, and a dark forest filled with glowing candles.
Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this reading. If you haven't had a chance to, please take a second, like, subscribe, ring that notification bell, comment down below, share with a friend, and check out some of the other villain series chapters and books as well. Join us next time, and remember, let it go and keep moving forward. Have a magical day. Bye.